You're born in a shattered, post-war city, still bleeding from a 900-day siege. Your first lullaby is the sound of people starving and buildings crumbling. Your older siblings didn't make it. You chase vermin for fun, and sometimes food, growing up surrounded by parasites, literal and political. The other kids play soccer. You study judo, not for sport, for survival. Because weakness isn't just embarrassing here. It gets you crushed or forgotten. You study law not because you want to, but because it's the only elevator out of your concrete hell. It's escape, not ambition, that guides your pen. You join the KGB and are trained to lie, deceive, and surveil. You learn early. Trust is a liability, feelings are ammo, and friendship is suicide. You spy in East Germany, reading other people's mail and living in constant fear of betrayal. You're not James Bond. You're a paranoid clerk with a badge. The empire you swore to serve collapses. All the authority gone. You're left stranded with a useless job title and a fading identity. You pivot into politics because your old world died. No ideology, just a hunger to matter. You don't believe in the system. You just want to run it. You start low in the city council, doing favors and collecting favors. Your moral compass rusts fast. In politics, there's no room for hesitation. In the capital, you become the guy who knows when to shut up and make others disappear. Your silence becomes your brand. Your chill, your weapon. You climb the ladder not with charisma, but with competence and cold calculation. You're forgettable, which makes you the perfect threat. You take over the secret police and learn the real game. Control the fear, and you control everything. Terror becomes your most reliable currency. Suddenly, you're prime minister, not because people like you, but because you're quiet, loyal, and scary enough to make the drunks feel safe. Overnight, you're president. No campaign, no fanfare, just a pen stroke, and the weight of a dying empire suddenly pressing down on your shoulders. Your first real move is muzzling the press. You don't trust journalists. Why should you? They ask questions, and questions ruin everything. A nuclear submarine sinks. Hundreds die. You wait days to respond. Grief is inconvenient. Optics are everything. The bodies will keep. You crush independent media and send billionaires to jail. You're not against wealth. You just don't like it in someone else's hands. You become the face of a nation. But behind the eyes, there's nothing. Just gears turning. Smile on command. Cry never. Blink less. You build a cult of personality around being boring and unshakable. People start to confuse stillness with strength. It works, so you double down. And if you don't want to end up a hollow shell of a man, trained to lie, forced to obey, and so emotionally numb you forget who you even are, then, like this video, subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell like it's your only shot at escaping the KGB or your childhood. You eliminate local elections and appoint your own people. Democracy still exists on paper, but it's now just a decorative illusion. You endure wars and terrorist attacks. Each tragedy becomes another excuse to tighten your grip. The blood dries, but the fear sticks. You declare the fall of the Soviet Union the biggest tragedy ever. Not because of freedom lost, but because your career got harder. You go on stage in Europe and call out the West. Everyone gasps, but you love it. For the first time, you're not invisible. You step aside for a puppet, but everyone knows the truth. You're the ventriloquist, pulling strings from the shadows with a loaded pistol. You send tanks into a small neighboring country. They call it an invasion. You call it nostalgia. You always did hate giving up old toys. You return to the presidency like a boomerang. Technically legal, morally radioactive. But hey, nobody with a spine is left to stop you. Protesters flood the streets. You flood them with riot police. Let the world talk about freedom. You've got batons, tear gas, and no bedtime. You publicly divorce your wife. The marriage ended years ago. You just finally made it official. Power has no room for romance. You take a chunk of a neighboring country and throw a party. Sanctions hit. Who cares? Your approval numbers go up. People love a thief. You back rebel groups and stoke civil war. But it's not sabotage. It's helping. History will understand, or it'll be rewritten. You host the Olympics and spend billions. But the world only talks about the corruption. The medals are real. So is the rot. A passenger plane is shot down. You deny, distract, deflect. Truth is a luxury you no longer afford, and a weapon in the wrong hands. You bomb another country under the guise of peacekeeping. Dictators unite. At least one of you will sleep well tonight. You jail, poison, or exile anyone who dares run against you. Not because they'll win, but because they might make you feel something. You win another election with numbers so high they loop back around into parity. Democracy? More like performance art with bayonets. The world laughs. You don't, because deep down, you know, if they stop fearing you, you're nothing but a very small man in a very big coat. You change the rules to stay in power longer. You say it's for stability. Everyone else knows. You're just terrified of what comes next. A virus spreads. You vanish from public view. People say it's safety. You say nothing. When fear is your brand, silence is your PR team. Your biggest rival returns, so you lock him away. Years later, he dies in prison. History will remember. You hope not too vividly. You write a 7,000-word essay on why your neighbor doesn't deserve to exist. It reads like a breakup text written in missiles. You invade again. This time, everyone watches. You call it liberation. The world calls it a war crime, but you've already stopped listening. Your army gets stuck. Your soldiers die. Your allies flinch. You double down. Nothing says genius like refusing to admit you're lost. The world unites against you. Nations you never noticed before now hate your guts. Even neutral countries are picking sides, and it's not yours. You call up 1 million men. Half flee the country. The other half dig trenches in frozen mud and dream of a passport. The internet makes jokes about your face, your hands, your walk. You used to be feared. Now you're a meme, and memes are immortal. You travel in a private train, afraid of missiles. Your plane gathers dust. You used to conquer skies. Now you fear open air. Your mercenary leader turns on you. His men march. For a day, the whole illusion crumbles. Then he dies in a plane crash. Coincidence. You're wanted by the international court. You can't travel. You're the president of a prison with a nuclear button and no vacation days. Your rival dies mysteriously in an Arctic jail. People light candles. You send riot cops. Grief isn't allowed here. Only state-approved mourning. You win another election with absurd results. Even your friends raise eyebrows, but everyone claps, because clapping is safer than thinking. You reshuffle your war cabinet. Out go the generals. In come the spreadsheets. Now your army runs on Excel and expired patriotism. Your kids are hidden. Their lives are redacted. You're not a father. You're an algorithm with bodyguards and family photos that don't blink. Your secret palace is revealed. $1 billion bunker of boredom. Gold toilets, wine rooms, and no one to share it with. The opposition is gone. The press is gagged. The art is censored. You can say anything, and no one dares say anything back. You watch reruns of your own speeches, not because you like them, but because they're the only voice left that agrees with you. You created an empire of control, and now you're stuck inside it. Every shadow could be betrayal. Every silence could be an ending. You see threats everywhere, even in your own mirror. Paranoia isn't a symptom, it's a survival strategy. You won everything and lost everyone. Your throne is surrounded by ghosts, secrets, and the sound of nobody clapping. You eat alone, always, surrounded by guards, aides, and silverware more polished than the conversations. You ban foreign platforms, then secretly scroll through them. You hate what people say about you, but you read it anyway. You order parades in your honor. Tanks roll, jets fly. But deep down, you know the applause is forced and the pride is borrowed. You live in castles built on lies, each wall plastered with propaganda, each hallway echoes with yes men and regrets. You control the media, but not the whispers. Even your allies speak in code now. Loyalty has an expiration date. You outlaw satire, but jokes still spread. In kitchens, in taxis, on napkins. You can't kill laughter, just the people telling it. You dream of legacy, statues, textbooks, holidays in your name. But you know, legacies built on fear crumble fastest. You feared being forgotten. Now you fear being remembered for what you truly are. Not a savior, not a czar. Just a very lonely man with too much power. You ruled an empire. You outlived rivals. You wrote history. But in the end, you're trapped in a palace no one wants to visit, surrounded by gold, ghosts, and silence. And if you've got another poor soul you'd like to see suffer on this channel, drop their name in the comments. We might roast them next. In the meantime, click on the video popping up now to find out why being that person also totally sucks.